Welcome to Private Stories, where people discover who they really are.
Nathaniel Brooks arrived at his office earlier than usual, long before the building had fully come alive. The morning light slid across the glass walls, casting pale reflections that made everything feel sharper, more precise. The air carried that familiar mix of cold metal and paper, a scent he had always associated with clarity. He switched on the desk lamp, even though it wasn't needed, set down a thick folder of technical drawings, and reached for his phone. Yesterday had been decisive. The review board had approved the final calculations. The project, once on the edge of failure, had been pulled back, stabilized, saved. Today's decision was supposed to be a formality. The executive director had already hinted at it. After the crisis, no one else had been able to hold everything together the way Nathaniel had. Not even close. At 47, he wasn't chasing status or titles. He had never cared about corner offices or leather chairs. But he understood what the promotion meant: control, fewer meaningless reports, more time to focus on what actually mattered. Structure, systems, reality. He opened his laptop and began checking files out of habit. Final edits, financial summaries, clearance approvals. Everything aligned. Everything clean. Then the phone rang in the reception area. A moment later, his assistant's voice came through the speaker. "Mr. Brooks, they're ready for you in conference room B. Everyone's already there." He gave a small nod, though no one could see it, shut off the lamp, grabbed his tablet, and stepped into the hallway. The scent of fresh coffee drifted through the corridor. Colleagues exchanged glances as he passed. Some smiled, some simply watched. They all knew. The meeting itself was brief. Nathaniel presented his vision, answered a few routine questions. The deputy director tried to interrupt, as usual, but the chairman cut him off mid-sentence. "That won't be necessary. Everything is clear." Then he stood, walked over, and extended his hand. "Congratulations. The order will be signed today. Starting tomorrow, you'll be in charge of the new complex." Nathaniel nodded. He didn't smile, not out of arrogance, just discipline. Emotion blurred judgment, and he had trained himself long ago to keep both separate. Back in his office, he closed the door and immediately called his wife. "Claire, hey. Nate, are you done already?" "I've been appointed. It's official, just like we expected." There was a short pause. "That's great," she said, her voice light but distant. "I'm really happy for you. I just can't talk right now." He frowned slightly. "You're at the studio." "No, I'm with a client. It's loud here. We're discussing a project." In the background, he could hear voices. Music, the clinking of glasses, not the kind of sound you'd expect from a design consultation. "Got it," he said calmly. "We'll talk tonight then." "Yeah, tonight. And Nate, you really deserved this." The call ended. He stared at the screen for a few seconds before it went dark. Then, almost automatically, he opened his banking app. It wasn't suspicion, just habit. He always checked numbers before making any major decisions. A withdrawal caught his eye. $62,000, the day before. Description: interior consulting. He tapped into the details. There had been similar transactions before, every few weeks, irregular, vague descriptions, no clear counterpart listed. He remembered Claire mentioning months ago that she wanted to upgrade her portfolio, invest in her website, expand her client base. He closed the app. What he felt wasn't jealousy, not even anxiety. It was something else, like a miscalculation hidden somewhere deep inside a system. You couldn't see it yet, but you knew it was there, waiting. That evening, traffic crawled through the city. Nathaniel drove slowly, barely noticing the lights flickering past his window. His thoughts kept circling back: her tone, the background noise, the inconsistency. Logic told him nothing unusual, but instinct remained silent. At home, it was quiet. The living room was dark. Only the kitchen light was on. He took off his jacket, placed it carefully on the hanger, and noticed a note on the table. "Don't wait up. I'll be late. There was a plate in the sink with leftover salad. A faint scent of perfume lingered in the air, not her usual one. Something sharper, warmer. In the bedroom, he noticed a different handbag on the nightstand, not the one she normally used for meetings. The clasp was slightly damaged, as if someone had rushed. Nathaniel stood there for a moment, observing, not reacting, just collecting. Then he turned and walked into his study. From a drawer, he took out a small bottle of pills. The headaches had been getting worse lately, dull, persistent pressure with no clear cause. He swallowed one, sat at his desk, and opened his laptop. Documents, reports, emails. His eyes moved, but his focus didn't follow. Instead, a memory surfaced. Claire mentioning someone new, a man named Daniel, a coach. Someone who led sessions, worked with clients on emotional balance. At the time, Nathaniel hadn't paid attention. Stress management was part of her field. It made sense. He hadn't even remembered the last name. Now he did, or at least he thought he did. He reached for a stack of papers and began sorting them. Logic was the only thing that never failed him, even when everything else began to crack. The quiet in the house deepened, and somewhere within it something shifted slowly, almost imperceptibly, but irreversibly. The next morning, Claire seemed unusually energized. She came downstairs wrapped in a light silk robe, her copper-red hair loosely tied, a few strands falling across her face. The early sunlight caught in it, turning it almost golden. She moved lightly, almost too lightly, as if nothing in the world could weigh her down. Without looking at Nathaniel, she turned on the coffee machine. "You've got that meeting at 9, right?" she said casually. 9:15, he corrected, slicing bread with precise, even motions. "You'll make it?" she asked, scrolling through something on her phone. "I always do." She smiled faintly, though her eyes never left the screen. "I'll head to Green District later. Remember I told you. New client." Nodded. Lately she had been talking a lot, too much in fact, details blurred together. Names repeated, stories overlapped. It felt less like communication and more like noise. Claire placed her coffee cup near the window and began taking photos of it, adjusting angles, shifting the curtains slightly to catch the light. "For the portfolio," she added. Nathaniel didn't respond. He watched her quietly. The way she moved. The way she avoided direct eye contact. The way her attention seemed permanently divided. After breakfast, she left quickly, already typing a message as she stepped out the door. Nathaniel followed her with his eyes and noticed something small. She took a different handbag, the expensive one, the one reserved for special occasions. He finished eating alone, then walked to a cabinet where old documents were stored and began sorting through folders. Invoices, website payments, bank printouts, and then a brochure, glossy paper, soft tones, minimalist design. At the center, a man. Mid-30s, clean-cut, dark hair. No tie, just a white shirt with the top buttons undone. Relaxed posture, confident smile. Daniel Carter, below it. Transformational coaching, emotional reset, deep alignment practices, a phone number, a website, a list of programs. Nathaniel stared at the image a little longer than necessary, then placed the brochure back exactly where it had been. At work, the day moved efficiently. Meetings, signatures, approvals, but his thoughts kept drifting to the voices in the background of that call, to the unfamiliar perfume, to the transactions. Everything looked ordinary, and that was exactly the problem. It felt like someone had entered his house and rearranged nothing visible. Around midday, he called his daughter. "Hey, Emma." "Hi, Dad," she answered quickly. "I'm in the library." "How's your session going?" "Good, just one exam left." He paused. "Where are you now exactly?" "I said library," she laughed softly. "Why?" "Just asking." There was a brief silence. "Daniel's picking me up later," she added casually. "He'll drop me home." Nathaniel's grip on the phone tightened slightly. "Daniel." "Yeah, Mom's friend. You know, the coach guy. I see. She asked him to help sometimes if she's busy, Emma continued. He's actually pretty cool. Nathaniel didn't ask anything else, but something cold and controlled began moving under his skin, not anger, not yet, awareness. That evening he went upstairs to her room. Emma sat at her desk with headphones on, typing quickly. Emma, he said. She pulled them off. Yeah. This Daniel, who is he? She shrugged, kind of like a coach. He works with Mom on clients. He's nice. Nice, Nathaniel repeated. Yeah, she smiled. He brought Thai food once. It was amazing. Yes. Did your mother ask you not to tell me about him? Emma frowned. No, why would she? Nathaniel studied her face carefully. She wasn't lying, but she didn't understand what she was part of either. Just curious, he said calmly. She smirked slightly. You and your investigations. He didn't smile. Finish your work, he said, and left the room. Back in his study, he opened his laptop again. This time deliberately, bank records, 3 months, then 6. Patterns emerged quickly. Regular payments labeled vaguely, consulting, project support, administrative services. Large sums, all from a shared account. He traced the recipients. One stood out. A registered company with no clear profile, no real business footprint, just a name. And behind it, nothing solid. Nathaniel leaned back in his chair. Everything was beginning to align, not emotionally, structurally, like pieces of a system revealing their connections. Claire returned around 9. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, her energy high. Sorry, clients ran late, she said, kicking off her shoes. You know how people are. He nodded. What kind of project? He asked. A young couple, she said, pouring water. He owns a clinic, she runs a retail chain. They want a minimalist office. She paused briefly. Daniel helped with zoning ideas. He's really good at that. There it was again, casual, inserted naturally, as if it belonged. Nathaniel placed his cup in the sink. How long have you been working with him? He asked. Since spring, she replied. He has a great approach. It's not just about design. It's about how people feel in a space. He said nothing. The conversation ended on its own. She went to the shower. Nathaniel remained in the kitchen, holding an empty glass, staring at nothing. It felt like watching a performance. The set was perfect. The lines were delivered flawlessly, but something fundamental was fake. That night he watched her as she slept. She lay on her side, back turned to him, her breathing slow, steady. The faint scent of perfume still lingered. Everything looked familiar. And yet, nothing felt the same. He woke up before the alarm. The room was still dark. He lay there, eyes open, listening to the silence. Today he knew something would change, not externally, internally. A decision had already formed. In the kitchen, he made breakfast himself. Claire came down later than usual, already dressed, makeup done, phone in hand. Do you have anything urgent today? She asked. Not really, he replied. A meeting later. Good, she said. I'll pick Emma up from downtown. Daniel can't today, he has an event. Nathaniel nodded slightly. He's around a lot, he said casually. Claire looked at him over her cup. What do you mean? Just an observation. She held his gaze for a moment, then looked back at her phone. After breakfast, Nathaniel didn't go to work. Instead, he drove across the city to a small office with a discreet sign, Private Investigations. Inside, the space was minimal, neutral. Behind the desk sat a man in his 40s, wearing a dark turtleneck. No last names here, he said. You can call me Victor. Nathaniel placed a folder on the table, printed bank statements, a photo of Daniel, a website address. I need facts, Nathaniel said evenly. No assumptions. Who he is, where he's been, who he works with, what he's hiding. Victor flipped through the document silently. You suspect your wife. I don't suspect, Nathaniel replied. I verify. Victor nodded. Give me a week. Nathaniel paid in cash. As he stepped outside, something unfamiliar settled inside him. Control, not complete, but enough. Later that day, he visited his brother. Lucas worked from home, cluttered desk, coffee cups everywhere, half-finished designs on the screen. Nate, wow, didn't expect you, Lucas said, adjusting his glasses. What's up? I need information, Nathaniel said. Lucas hesitated. About Claire. Yes. There was a pause. Then Lucas exhaled slowly. She asked me to help set up a platform, he admitted. For clients, payments, catalog, that kind of thing. Money went through you. Yeah. How much? Lucas shifted uncomfortably. 200,000, maybe more. Nathaniel stood still. She said it was her personal money, Lucas added quickly, and you believed her. Lucas shrugged weakly. I didn't ask questions. Nathaniel looked at him. That's worse. He left without another word. By the time he got home, the structure in his mind was nearly complete. All that remained was proof. Nathaniel didn't rush. That was the difference between emotion and calculation. Emotion demanded action. Calculation demanded patience. That night, after everyone had gone to their rooms, he sat alone in his study with only the desk lamp on. The house was quiet, almost unnaturally so, as if it too was waiting. He opened a blank page on his tablet and began building a structure. At the center, he wrote one name. Claire. From it, he drew lines outward. Daniel, Emma, Lucas, the studio, the unknown company receiving funds. Each connection became a node, each node a potential weak point. He didn't think in terms of betrayal, he thought in systems, and systems could be dismantled. The next evening, he made his first move. Claire mentioned she had another meeting. Late again. He asked almost casually. Just a couple of hours, she replied, already putting on her coat. We're discussing a new concept. He nodded, of course. She left. Nathaniel waited 10 minutes. Then he stepped outside, not through the front door but the side entrance. Quiet, unnoticed. The air was cool, the street dimly lit. He positioned himself where he could see both his house and the neighboring one, the Carters. A detail he had nearly ignored before. Now it mattered. 20 minutes passed. Then a car pulled up, not a taxi, a black sedan. The driver stepped out. Daniel. He stood by the gate, checked his phone, then rang the bell. A moment later, the neighbor, Mrs. Carter, opened the gate. They exchanged a few words, and then Claire stepped out of the neighbor's house. Not from her own. She wore a casual jacket, hair tied back, a crossbody bag over her shoulder. She leaned in, kissed the neighbor lightly on the cheek, then walked straight to the car. No hesitation, no uncertainty, like a routine. They got in. The car drove away. Nathaniel didn't move. He simply watched until the taillights disappeared. Then he turned, went back inside, and closed the door quietly. That same night, he opened a small box in his study. Inside, a compact surveillance camera left over from a past renovation project. He examined it for a moment, then got to work. One camera, installed discreetly under the roof edge, angled toward the neighbor's gate. Another, hidden inside his own car, positioned to capture the front seats. Continuous recording. No gaps. No assumptions. Only data. 2 days later, the pattern repeated. The same car. The same timing. The same sequence. Neighbor opens gate, Claire exits, Daniel waits, they leave together. Nathaniel extracted the footage, organized it, and sent it to Victor. The response came within 24 hours. The report was concise. Daniel Carter, registered as an independent consultant. Declared field, psychological coaching and event facilitation. No accredited degree. Certificates, unverified templates. Previous record, fraud case in his early 20s. Suspended sentence. Then disappearance. Reappeared years later under a slightly altered identity. Victor's note. 3 women linked to him in prior investigations, all financially compromised, 2 bankrupt, 1 sold her property. Funds traced through layered company structures. Nathaniel's eyes moved to the next line. One of those companies. Matched the name from Claire's bank transfers. Then came the photos. Daniel in expensive casual wear standing near a dealership. Daniel and Claire at an outdoor cafe. Daniel and Claire near a residential building. Different days, different times, always close, closer than necessary, not quite intimate, but far beyond professional. Nathaniel closed the laptop slowly. There was no shock, no anger, only confirmation. Everything aligned perfectly. The next step was Emma. He went to the bank the following morning without telling anyone. The consultant recognized him immediately and led him into a private office. "I need a detailed breakdown," Nathaniel said. "All transactions from the education account over the past 4 months." The woman hesitated. "You mean your daughter's account?" "Yes." 10 minutes later, he had the documents. 3 transfers from the main account to Emma's, and almost immediately after, secondary transfers to third parties, descriptions, administrative services, delivery fees, organizational costs. One of the recipients matched the same company again, the same structure, the same system. Nathaniel didn't react. He simply requested copies, then added one more instruction. "I want to restructure the account." The consultant looked up. "In what way?" "A trust, restricted access. Funds can only be used for direct payments to educational institutions. No withdrawals, no intermediaries." She nodded slowly. "That will require authorization." "You have it." Within the hour it was done. The account was sealed, controlled, protected. That evening Claire returned home slightly earlier than usual. Her mood was good, light, almost careless. During dinner, Emma mentioned something casually. "Daniel sent me a link to a course," she said, "about stress and focus. I signed up." Nathaniel raised an eyebrow. "You trust him that much?" Emma shrugged. "He explains things well." Claire added smoothly, "He knows how to work with people, not like you with your formulas." Nathaniel looked at her but said nothing. That night he didn't sleep. Instead, he reconstructed the timeline. Spring, Daniel appears. Summer, money begins moving. Fall, Claire becomes distant. Now Emma is involved. The line was clean, too clean. At 2:47 a.m. an email arrived from Victor. Subject: Carter, Week 1. Nathaniel didn't open it immediately. He sat in silence for a moment. Then finally, clicked. Nathaniel opened the file slowly, as if the speed of the action could somehow affect the outcome. It didn't. The truth was already there, organized, structured, cold, just the way he preferred it. Daniel Carter, no higher education, fake certifications, a past buried under minor identity changes, 3 confirmed cases of financial manipulation involving women, a pattern: trust, influence, dependency, extraction, and then disappearance. Nathaniel scrolled further. Bank connections confirmed. Claire's payments had been routed through a shell company, the same one tied to Daniel's previous schemes. Every transfer was disguised, every step calculated, but not enough. Not against someone who knew how to trace systems to their core. Then came the final section. Photos, this time undeniable. Claire entering the car, Claire leaning toward him, Claire kissing him, clear, close, unmistakable. Nathaniel closed the laptop. He didn't need more. The system was complete. Now, it was time to dismantle it. He chose Tuesday, a normal day, predictable. "I'll be late," he told Claire in the morning. "Meetings." She barely reacted. "All right, I might stop by the neighbors. We're working on an idea." Of course, he said calmly. By noon he was already home. The car was parked out of sight. He entered through the back door, silently. The house was quiet, except voices upstairs. From the bedroom, a man's voice. Low, familiar, then Claire's soft, warm, not the voice she used with him. Nathaniel took out his phone and started recording. Step by step he approached the door, paused, listened. "You smile more now," Daniel said. "You know why," Claire replied, a quiet laugh. Nathaniel opened the door. The scene froze. Claire on the bed, dressed only in light lingerie, leaning against the headboard. Daniel beside her, close, too close. Claire saw Nathaniel first. Her face went white. Daniel jumped up, grabbing his clothes. "Are you insane?" he snapped. "What are you doing?" Nathaniel said nothing. He kept recording. "Put the phone away." Claire hissed. "Nathaniel, stop." He lowered the phone, turned it off, put it in his pocket, then spoke, calmly. "You follow a pattern," he said, looking at Claire. "Image, voice, promises, everything that can be reset and reused." Daniel stepped forward. "You think you can destroy us with this?" He said sharply. "You have nothing. It's just a domestic argument." Nathaniel looked at him. "You even repeat the same lines," he said quietly. "I've heard them before, just not from you." Claire pulled the blanket around herself, trembling. "Nate, I didn't mean for it to happen like this." "You meant exactly this," he replied. "Every late meeting, every transfer, every lie." Daniel's tone shifted. "Get out," he said, "or I call the police." Nathaniel held his gaze. "Try," he said. "Explain who you are, your fake licenses, your bankrupt partners, your shell companies." Silence. For a second. Daniel's confidence cracked, just slightly. Enough. Nathaniel turned and walked out. No slammed doors, no raised voice, just exit. 3 days later, everything moved into motion. Legal filings, financial freezes, asset restrictions, every document prepared, every step anticipated. When Claire and Daniel came to confront him, it was already too late. "Why are the accounts blocked?" Claire demanded. "Because the system responded," Nathaniel said calmly. Daniel stepped forward. "You don't control everything." Nathaniel looked at him. "You inserted yourself into it," he said. "That was your mistake." He turned the laptop toward them. Photos, transactions, records, connections, all laid out. Claire's voice broke. "You're destroying everything." "No," Nathaniel said quietly. "You did. I just documented it." The court hearing was quick, efficient, unemotional. Evidence spoke. Not people, all joint assets frozen. Investigation opened. Daniel under inquiry. Outside the courthouse, Claire caught up to him. "You got what you wanted," she said. Nathaniel shook his head. "No," he replied. "You did. I just restored balance." Weeks later, everything was over. Claire lost her studio. Her reputation collapsed. Daniel faced charges, multiple counts of fraud. Emma continued her studies under strict financial control. Lucas cooperated with investigators. Nathaniel left the city. New apartment, new project, clean structure, no unnecessary variables. Months passed. Then a message from Emma. "I understand now. You weren't taking revenge. You were protecting something, I just didn't see it." He read it, didn't reply. Another message came later, from Claire. "I'm not asking you to come back. Just, if you ever want to talk, I'll be here. As someone who finally understands what she destroyed." He didn't open the attachment. A year later, Nathaniel stood on stage, receiving an award for engineering excellence. His speech was short, precise. No personal words, only facts. He had rebuilt everything, from zero. And this time, on solid ground.
Thank you for watching this video to the end. Visit our channel for interesting and intriguing stories.